Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rivalz Racetrack. Clint, Geoffrey, and Adam Ross with you as we are always. How's everybody doing? How you doing, Adam?
I wait for you to ask me specifically because you were talking to everybody, so I wanted to give everyone else a chance to answer. I'm doing good, Clinton. It's been a good week. You and I haven't talked very much, but I think it's because you were still mad from Friday, so I was giving you space. And once we learned that we were all right, we could talk more
No,
again.
I don't think I was mad Friday, but that's
I I got third party warrant.
wow. All right. Well, we
He's
can
not
talk
he's
about
not
that.
happy with you. Like, all right, fair enough.
Wow, who would have said that? We're gonna
And
get
that's
into that a little bit
maturity.
later.
Because
So,
previous Adam wouldn't give a 24 or 48-hour cool off period, especially if I thought someone was a little edgy, because that's normally when I step in. But I've cooled down a little bit, so I thought, okay, give it time. And then Mark McDonald brought up the finish line, and now I'm all wound up again.
yeah, there was a couple of comments on Friday during the race, and you and I had a difference of opinion, which we do. But I think you and I both consider ourselves spirited race fans, and sometimes, we're gonna bench race. We just have to have a microphone, and there's lots of people listening to us argue about our fandom. So we have different opinions on stuff. We'll discuss that in a little bit. But let's set up the show. We have a lot of stuff going on. Osh Weekend's NASCAR week is coming up in, wow, 2 weeks from yesterday and today, which is insane to think it's upon us already. We have Memorial Night this Friday, which includes some great races. Art Hill Memorial, the Brock Leonard, new race for Noel Teal, and a Noah's Dash, which we're going to discuss a little bit. But we're going to bring Laura on first, and we'll talk about that. Then we're going to show our Burger Barn Bit of the Week, talk to Laura, NPS at GP3R. Let me pull up my thing because we're getting off screen here. We've got a few more topics to go through. Those will also be tours and specials, and we'll talk a little bit about car counts on Sunday for a great payout for the Gold Rush at Flamborough. Action Sprint Tour on our end hasn't been shattering records this year. Talk about how it could all end tomorrow, so you better enjoy what you got. And then NASCAR's new deal with CW, which we were all trying to figure out who that even is and what does that mean for your NASCAR broadcasts. So, first up, let's sell some tickets. Spencer, roll the new NASCAR Pinty Series broadcast, or we could bring Laura on too, so I'm cool with that. If Laura's ready, bring her on. I didn't realize we were ready to go split screen already. Laura,
I
how you
like the
doing?
multiple choice.
Hi, Laura, how you doing?
Good. I wore my checkers in your honor.
Perfect.
You know what? I'm a little disappointed because I just watched your story, and I'm disappointed you took the face mask off. I thought I watched it on mute, so I couldn't hear what you were saying. But I couldn't look away.
Yeah, you got to watch it with the sound. It'll be even better.
Okay, I will.
Laura, let's talk about Friday Night Thunder. On APTN, we're here to promote season 3 coming up. You have a fairly vast crew that travels around Osh Weekend and the associated racers, following them on a lot of their adventures. Sometimes across North America, mostly at home. As a non-race fan, how's that been? First off the top, you weren't really immersed in racing. You met a lot of people. How has it been as an outsider?
Well, yeah, I did. I have to admit, I did feel like quite an outsider in the beginning, and I'm fully a race fan now, and I'm so excited every week to go to not only to the races, but I do watch races. I am a fan of many drivers, and it's become a passion of mine. We started this show in 2019 at Oshweekend Speedway, and in 2021 we had to go to a bunch of other tracks because it was the COVID year. And I should give a shout out actually to all of those tracks that welcomed us for season 2, which aired last year. And that was a lot of tracks. That was Merrittville, Humberstone, Brighton, Brockville, and Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. And of course, you were very involved in making all of that happen. So I just wanted to send out a thank you to everybody for that. And I feel so grateful that I had a chance to see all those tracks and be a part of that. But being back at Oshweekend Speedway for season 3 was surreal. It was so great to be back there after 2 years of it being shut down. The whole intention of the show in the beginning, when we created it, was to share the stories from this track specifically, because it is on APTN, which is an Indigenous network. And we were promoting Indigenous drivers, which you don't ever see. Indigenous drivers and women are very underrepresented in the sport. And we really wanted to give them some representation in the media. But as the show has progressed, we've really included a lot of the drivers, and every driver on that track is equally as important, because there would be no racing without them. And they make it very, very exciting. And we've gotten to know not only our own drivers that are in the cast, but we've gotten to know a lot of the drivers at Ohsweken Speedway. And it's just been amazing to be welcomed into the family. And I actually feel like now we're getting there. It took a while, it was a learning curve, but it has been absolutely amazing, and I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Laura, you and I have had some conversations by text on Facebook, but I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, because your focus is from the Indigenous side of things. That is the direction you come from and the direction you focus. Have you been surprised or impressed or unimpressed with how it doesn't... Is it a factor at Ohsweken Speedway when you see the racers interact? Are you taken aback by the fact that race doesn't enter into it? Or do you still see the divides or the... I just want to know how it compares to other things that you have done from that vantage point, and I'm wording it very awkwardly.
No, it's okay. I understand what you're saying. And no, it is how I see the track is a place of equalization. You can be all ages, you can be all genders, you can be all races. And to me, it's such a special place because of that. And I think Brian Nanticoke, one of our drivers, 9C, who's in the crate division, in season 2, he said, it's too bad the whole world isn't a racetrack, because you wouldn't see color, you wouldn't see gender, you wouldn't see age, you wouldn't see anything like that, because once you're in that car, you're a driver like everyone else. And I really love that the politics are left at the gate. And even Glenn Stiers has said that many times, that he leaves it at the gate. And I think a lot of other people do, as well as us. And maybe that's why the show is so refreshing to me. I've taken on a lot of other really, really heavy subjects in the past for the content that I've created, like Moccasin Flats, where we, made the first Indigenous dramatic series. It was on Showcase and it was amazing, but it was really, really heavy content, and it was really, really difficult at times. And at this stage in my life, I really welcome some new worlds and some new experiences where we can all just be together, going towards the same goal. And in this case, it's promotion of the sport.
Yeah, the one thing I like to say is, we only have one race at the Speedway, and it starts with the yellow and ends with the checkered. Before we get too much further, let's roll some footage, because you guys do a fantastic job with your crew of getting a different look than we've ever seen of some of these tracks. Let's look at the trailer for Season 3, Spencer.
Ladies and gentlemen, you came looking for a show. Well, here you go.
Ohsweken just races like a big, fast track.
Oh, trouble in turn number 4.
We're done, Ski.
You got it, okay?
That's unbelievable.
Oh, Victor Bomberry found his limits.
I don't know what the hell happened. If you can't afford to wreck it, don't race it. Yeah, what he said.
Awesome job. The footage is amazing. So we were talking about this today. So if you want to go back and look at Season 1 and 2, you can go to APTN Lumi, which is LUMI.ca. APTNLumi.ca. They have a free 14-day trial. You can catch Season 1 and 2. Season 3 premieres September 8th, 8:30 on APTN. So make sure you check that out. Laura, I know you're looking for some help. So you mentioned you're looking for some media help and some folks to help push the envelope and get the word out there. What are you looking for here? And maybe some of our viewers can jump in and find a way to get in touch with you and give you the support you're looking for to really push this thing through the next level.
Well, we want to see this show go for a long time. I want to tell more of these stories. I want to be at the track. I want to carry some cameras around and keep covering more racing families and getting into it a lot more. I love it so much. So what we need is support to build our audience, to get eyeballs on our season premiere on September 8th at 8:30 on APTN. And what I'm looking for is a media professional who has a motorsports connection, who might know some writers, media writers, who could write about the show and try and get some eyeballs on the show. And this is actually a start. Thank you for having me on. This is one of the ways we need to do it. And I need more of this, but we could also use some help by your viewers to come and follow us at FN Thunder TV on Instagram, as well as on TikTok. And Friday night, let me make sure, it might be Friday Night Thunder TV. TikTok and Instagram are FN Thunder TV. And Facebook is Friday Night Thunder TV. So please follow us. We have some wacky content up there. Our promos are going to be coming out. We also have a YouTube channel, Friday Night Thunder TV. And we also have Friday Night Thunder I don't even know the website name, but go see our website. It's on there somewhere. And if you can come and participate that way, also follow me, the Milliken, on Instagram, or Laura Milliken on Facebook. I have lots of content on there too that's racing related, Oshweek Speedway related. So all of that helps. Anything that can be written about us so we can get people watching the show, as well as the social media numbers also count for the health of the show in the eyes of the broadcasters and the funders. So those platforms is equally as helpful if you follow, like, share, do all of that sort of good stuff. And just generally show some support for the show, and hopefully we can keep this thing going.
Laura, come see me on Friday. I know someone who might be able to help you from a media standpoint. I'd rather not say it on the air, but I'll talk to you Friday about it.
Got it. Thank you so much. Any help would be great. We only have a month to promote this. That's not a lot of time. It's not like we can engage, a publicist to hit up all the media across the country, but it is a national campaign. It is a national broadcast, and we want viewers all the way across Canada to see these stories. So I'm looking for any sort of media any motorsports or otherwise media publication, podcast, anything, radio show, anything that might want to talk to me or our drivers or anyone else involved in the show, and try and give it a little bit of exposure.
No, Laura, you guys have done a fantastic job. I don't think I've seen more racers cry on the air than I have with that. It's just great. It shows you're pulling out the emotions of these normally tough and brave race car folks that we don't always get to see the vulnerable side of. And I knew you had a hit first time I saw the trailer and saw Glenn, start to blubber a little bit. I knew you had a winner. You even got me to break down. So I appreciate it. Thanks for everything, Laura. We'll be in touch, and we'll be looking for more great footage from your crew. And we'll be helping you push Season 3 coming up September 8th at 8:30 p.m. on APTN.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Laura. Hey, Clint, just before you move on, Chris was saying he hasn't received his link yet. So even if it can be sent to me in Facebook, I can forward it that way. He's still got a little bit of time before we're expecting him. So, Clint, I don't know. I have two conversations to tell you about, Clinton, that I don't know if you know. I've chatted with Laura quite a bit because I find her quite fascinating with the work that she does. But we were talking about, it was when Dave and I did our weigh-in for the weight loss challenge, about how some mainstream media outlets, when they open a broadcast, they open it with, we're broadcasting from the native lands of such and such and such. And I tried to say it politely to Laura, but I find it such a crock of shit. Because it's like me saying, oh, I'm watching the TV on my wall that used to belong to Clint. He didn't want to give it up, but it looks really good. well, how am I paying homage to you? Like, it's just, it's an empty words, right? I said, if we want to do something, there should be some real education involved in it. So that was that part of the story. Last week in Saskatoon, that's how they open their show every week. And so they said, here's what we do. Because we introduce an invocation, we introduce an anthem. And I said, you feel free to do that. That's all you. It's all fine and good, but it's just not something that I want to make a part of my welcome routine. If that makes
Alrighty
any
then.
sense. No, I
Right
just
on there.
do you know what I mean though? It just I don't like it.
I'm not engaging in any of that talk here. Sorry. Osh Weekend, let's talk about what's coming up. We have our big race. Spencer, roll the ad.
The NASCAR Pinty Series returns to the Big O for not one, but 2 action-packed nights of NASCAR on the dirt. Oshweekend Speedway hosts the Freshstone Dirt Classic on Monday, August 14th, and the Pinty's 100 Tuesday, August 15th. Last year, the action was wild. Don't miss out. Get your tickets today. Go to npsondirt.com for tickets and camping info.
We have a lot of great information still coming up for that. We'll be releasing a lot of daily schedules and some entertainment stuff coming up. So we're excited to get that going. Still some camping spots available. You can log on to npsondirt.com, as the commercial said, for anything you might need to know. Just released this week, Schrader is going to be racing that weekend. He'll be at Sunset for the APC race, which we'll be covering here on G-Force TV on Saturday, August 12th. And then we'll be back with him on Monday, Tuesday on the dirt for 2 events, which is cool to see Schrader's out. Stuart Friesen has announced he'll be coming to race with us. We're getting his first look at the car. This was just finalized today. We think this is what the cars are going to look like. He'll be driving a GSR sprint car and a GSR NASCAR. There's a Sprinter looking pretty darn racy, if I do say so. And then we also have the Pinty's car, which he looks like he'll be number 19 with the GSR white motorsports car. So pretty cool. Looking to see those cars, and they're already, most of them wrapped, I think, already. I think they're just slapping the numbers on and getting ready to go. Also came out news, Jessica Zemkin Friesen will be back racing since she won the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals years ago. So to have a World of Outlaws Sprint Car, winner from Osh Weekend and a Canadian Nationals winner, Jessica back. She'll be driving for a Hills racing car, which is going to be awesome. So the name's starting to roll out.
It'll be another fantastic event. There's good money on the line. There'll be lots of fans, lots of racers, lots of teams, lots of excitement. It really has the right buzz. That event, I mean, it went so well last year, and I expect it'll be bigger this year.
Right on. How are we picking cars for the multi-class race? That brings us to Memorial Night Friday, Adam. So we're expecting a fantastic night. This is kind of an idea we got from the Casellis when I worked there. They do a great job of having a Memorial Night race, and then at the banquet, each of those winners come up and get a nice cup for a trophy. And we have a toast for all the people we've lost. I think at the banquet, it's a great way to kind of honor everybody. So we're going to try and pick up that tradition. We moved the Brock Leonard, the Art Hill Memorial. So these are big dual on the dirt combined races. So for the mini stock Thunder Stocks, it's a big event for them. And then we have twin 14s for no LT, which was a lot of discussion the past week between management and officials on how to run that race. But we decided on 28-car field. It'll be 14 cars to start. 14 laps to start, segment 1. Then we'll have the other 2 features in an open red situation for the sprint cars. They go back, change whatever they want, as long as they're within tech. And then they will return to the speedway in the same order they finished the first 14. There'll be winners, and payouts for the first segment. The other thing is, Adam, tons of people jumped in. The Teal family, John Brush, Nathan Ackland, it's gotten more and more money. It is now up to $2,000 to win and $300 to start, with a lot of bonus money in the middle. So excited about that.
So, explain to me, is it twin 14s or is it a 28 lap race with a break?
It's twin 14s.
So is there a victory lane after the first 14?
No.
Okay. Is there a scored finish? Like, is it a combined finish?
You want to fight, just say what's on your mind about it. I'm trying to make a special race for someone here, and if you want to be an ass, go ahead and be an ass. Just pull it out. Say it
I want
out.
to fight. I want... No.
Say what you don't like. You don't like something. Say it. You're
I'm
trying to say
asking
it
how
should
it
be a
works.
true twin 14s, right?
No, I just... No. It's how it looks to me on the schedule. I'm not looking to fight about it. I'm looking to ask about it.
How would you like to do it?
Well, don't ask me now. The race is in 3 days. I'm asking how it goes. So it's two 14-lap segments. Good enough. Checkered flag at the end.
Yes, the money's paid out at the end, but it's a great payout.
Don't get pissy with me for asking a question.
I just thought you were going down a different road.
No. Dude, it's just like we're going to talk about what happened Friday. We're race fans, and when we say things, it's better that we say them from a race fan's perspective. Once in a while, you got to walk it back later on, but for Christ's sakes.
We'd be better off to talk about bananas and finish lines right now.
Where are you going to put the finish line for the second 14? I don't care about the first 14 because there's no money being paid. Oh, that's the best face to freeze on ever. I wasn't sure if I was frozen or if he was frozen. So I have offended the Clinton now twice tonight, and he is the boss, so I've got to be careful. If I offend him 3 times, I don't know what happens in the same night. But he's a little on edge, so I'm going to be somewhat cautious. Why don't we do this? Our next guest is with us. Why don't we bring in Chris Lawrence, because we can chat for a good little bit here. I very much appreciate this because, from what I gather, Chris was working on the tow vehicle tonight. And without a tow vehicle, it doesn't matter if you have 1 race car or 2 race cars or 20 race cars. If you can't get them to the racetrack, it's no good. So Chris Lawrence, come on, Spencer. If you can bring him on, that would be fabulous. Chris,
Hey,
what's
Adam,
going
how's
on?
it going?
It's good, man. It's good. How are you?
Good. A little busy, a little hectic, but we're getting ready for race weekend. We
Now,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. That's what I was going to ask. Walk us through it.
So this weekend we've got I think 10 bone stocks going to Delaware on Friday, and then we're gearing up the APC car for the second stage of the NTN Triple Crown race. So we're going for another long run at Sauble, hoping to have a car comparable to what we had last week. But I know Joe was making jokes about going after the track record, so we'll see.
The fun thing about Joe is, I feel when there's some people. Okay, let's use myself as an example because it's easy to poke fun at myself. I blow smoke out my mouth all the time, so you kind of expect it. Joe does not. So when Joe says something, it carries a lot of weight. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Chris, how serious? So when he makes a statement like that, how dedicated is he to making that happen?
If he made that statement to you, I would say 100%. He made that statement to me, and I just knew how much work I have to do this week because he'll want to back that up.
Fair enough. Why do you do it? I get why you do the late model, but actually the late model is this big a question. 2 questions. First part, why prepare so many cars? But second part, why is it so important to you to showcase bone stock racing as a legitimate hardcore motorsport? Because you guys have really elevated that class just by how serious you take it and how much fun you have with it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I give credit to a lot of the other teams. Like when we show up to Flamborough and to Delaware, the teams that come out knowing that we're showing up, they definitely step up their game and they bring really competitive cars. The bone stock, the reason I don't know why I went with so many. But the reason I wanted to do the program I'm doing is just how the junior late model program and the stepping stones for getting into racing and like the affordable options kind of just changed over the years. There's a little bit of a gap, in my opinion. Not every track has junior late models, and then there isn't a lot of what's next. So my hope with kind of putting the bone stocks on the scale that they're at is they get that exposure, because it is the affordable next step. If you're already involved in racing, you have the safety gear, you have the tools, essentially you're just selling your half size car, getting a dolly or a trailer, and buying into an entry level full size car. And what you choose to do from that is however you want to go into racing, really.
Yeah, and I find it inspiring. Like I really do,
Thank you.
because you're making it accessible for people to go out in an affordable way. And here's the deal: to race in front of a grandstand full of people, and the fans cheer louder for bone stock racing at Delaware than they do for almost anything else. So that's part of the thrill, Chris. And Clint, I'll bring you back in. I'm glad you're able to get back on because speculation was running wild. But we welcome Chris Lawrence.
Takes more than that to get rid of me. Chris, are you shocked by the veterans who are reaching out to you to have fun in the bone stock? We see some guys dabbling down.
No, I'm lining some stuff up for the end of the year. We're looking at having an all-star cast come out for the Pumpkin Smasher of all things. No, it's really nice because the thing with the bone stocks is the cars are all the same, and I do my fair part. Like I've had Joe racing for me. I've got some good development with the cars. He's given me a really good baseline to start off drivers. But at the same time, it comes down to how you drive the car and how you can get through 40 other cars. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you can wreck out early, even if you're the best driver on track. So it's kind of nice to see drivers with that experience coming down because they're limited by the car. And at the same time, the guys that are learning the entry level stuff get the experience to race with these guys that have a really well developed racecraft. And I think everybody just benefits from it.
So, how do you manage a weekend like this? Because obviously, Sauble is very important to take the family late model up there, but you have a lot of people counting on you on Friday. So, how much sleep does Chris Lawrence get on an average weekend in the summer?
I can count it up and text you later this week, let you know. But no, it's preparation. There's a lot. I have a whiteboard and I have lists and trying to make sure I get driver feedback on race days so that I know kind of where I have to fix certain cars. And then I kind of throw the curveball on myself. Like I took one of my renter's cars racing at Flamborough on Sunday. So now I have to tweak the setup back to the Delaware setup for them. And then I've got my crew guy actually turning wrenches out in the shop right now. We just switched over my better half, Miss Penny's car. I'm going to take that up to Sauble Beach tomorrow for their combined 4 dash for cash. So if I don't mess with the cars, it's not terrible week to week. And then we just I try to line up the renters a couple weeks in advance. I've got like very few spots open for the rest of the year. And then other than that, we're just kind of focusing on getting out the radios on Monday nights and trying to spot for people and do the stuff that you're not allowed to do on a race day, but you can take the time to do on a Monday practice and really help people get the confidence in their own driving skills that come Friday, they can do it themselves and not worry about it.
No, man, it makes a lot of sense. Chris, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come hang out with us. It's funny. You're talked about as much as many drivers who are racing on a given night just because you're all over the place at the racetrack and there's so many people counting on you. So keep up the great work and thanks for coming to see us.
Thank you very much, guys, and I appreciate what you guys do for the sport. So thank you.
Hey, we
Right
do
on,
what
Chris.
we can, man.
Well, where do you want to go from here?
I'm afraid to. I've almost dropped the F-bomb 3 or 4 times tonight, and that's not something I've ever done on a microphone. I'm pretty good, but I've almost done that a few times tonight. So I'll have to mind my manners. Where do we want to go? Well, why don't we go to passionate responses, Clinton? It's something, and the reason being, you and I had a long conversation about it yesterday because I think we both thought it was better to have the conversation off the air just to make sure my finger's not pointed at you and yours isn't pointed at me, and none of them are pointed at our racers in the field. But the job that we do, and I think more so on a Friday night, because I think we take more liberties on a Friday night because we own more of that product. So I think we're more comfortable to say to take out a few more of the filters that we would normally have that we might not say at an APC show or elsewhere. And we'll say what's on our mind on a Friday night. And sometimes it can come across as, I don't know, harsh, where drivers think, boy, that wasn't very nice of them to talk about me like that. It's not always about a particular driver, it's about a situation. And our passion comes out as anger or spirited talk or raised voices, which our voices are raised all the time anyhow. Am I setting that up well enough to say that, you came on loud and strong Friday after an incident, and I came on loud and strong in response, and we both have great respect for all the drivers involved, but we had something to say.
Yeah, we definitely had different opinions on how we saw the thing. I think my response to an incident was probably a culmination of so many little things that finally added up to that. Obviously, we're passionate race fans, and we see things in the heat of the moment, and we react to them. And sometimes when you see it back, like, all right, maybe it wasn't that bad of a deal. I think it was in regards to we were arguing about how aggressive a young driver should be in a sprint car, and that's where we got into it. And I certainly wasn't trying to pick on DJ Christie at the moment, but it was one of those things where we just see a lot of these kids and DJ, among others, and they're just super aggressive. And I think at some point we have to realize that we have a lot of folks out there, and if you haven't been in a violent sprint car crash yet, or haven't been seriously hurt in what a lot of the field has, and you're trying to build respect among your drivers, and sometimes you just got to back it down a little bit. And you went right to the fence and said, no, I want them on all the time.
No, not that. It's not that. So we have a whole generation of sprint car drivers, and I'm going to go on for a little bit. Our young class of sprint car racers, any one of them could win on a given night. When I say anyone, I mean Josh Hansen, DJ Christie, Liam Martin, Nick Sheridan, Darren Dryden, Lucas Smith. Like, for God's sakes, that's half a dozen drivers who are fairly new to 360 sprint car racing, and they all drive their balls off. And that whole group moving up to 360s, you have to you have to drive balls to the wall, because that's how you find your limits and that's how you learn. Clinton, if you want to have DJ on, Clinton, I'll let you text him and sort that out. I'm not sure if this is the week or if we do it next week or the week after, but we'll deal with that. All these youngsters are great talents, so I want one that, if I were a car owner, I want one of these kids driving my car, and I want them driving as hard as they can. And after the race, we'll sit down and we'll regroup. Hey, how did this go? How did that go? I mean, it's easier to do that and maybe pull back the reins in certain situations than it is to take a driver and choose any number of drivers who came from asphalt and had some success in sprint cars. Keith Dempster, Steve Lyons, the list goes on and on of people you could look on the track and say they were really good pavement drivers. They haven't quite gone crazy on the dirt yet. They haven't quite unhinged themselves to be fully into the dirt world. And I think it's easier to pull someone back than it is to push them from behind and say, keep going. You got to drive harder. It's a fine line. And we're so lucky right now to have that young talent and the veteran talent and whatever is going on. And no disrespect to your opinion, Clinton, whether it's last Fridays or next Fridays or the week after that, because you're entitled to it. But I do know that every time now we have a sprint car nationals or a big paying event, our local racers are more prepared to win those races than they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't put Bowman in the same category, Warren, because Bowman has a lot of experience in a modified that I think hones some of the skills he's learned over time racing something different, what the limits are like, what he can do, what he can't do, what he wants to achieve. Alan Downing, we got to throw him in as well. So it's just a complicated crockpot full of race car drivers, but we've never had a better cast of characters. So I'll leave that to you and go with it wherever you want.
It's tough for me, man, because I can't say what I really feel on a lot of nights because I'm also the manager of the Speedway and I need relationships with these guys. I have to do business with them. It doesn't make it easy, you know? Sometimes I should just shut up, I think.
Hey, and I've seen now completely different topic. I'm not comparing this to anything that happened last Friday or any other Friday. I've seen senior citizen racers do things that were absolutely ridiculous, that they should know better and step on their tallywhackers. So it's not limited to young people, but our situation right now in sprint cars is a big youth movement. It is a lot of energy, and it's wild to watch. And the example I would give, if we want to step back, is Glenn Stiers. How many billboards did Glenn Stiers destroy before he honed his skills? And I hate seeing you like this because I can actually see you almost physically biting your bottom lip
Yeah.
But
it's all right. Back to Friday. A big deal coming up. We have, like we mentioned, the Brock Hill, the Yard Hill, the Brock Leonard, and the Noel Teal races. We also have Noah's Dash, Adam. Play the Berg Barn Ridley Week, Spencer. This is Sam. What we're trying to do. It's mini stocks versus thunder stocks versus crates, and this is the idea. I'm shocked, Adam. A lot of the teams have declined the invitation to go after the money this weekend. What's your thoughts?
Disappointed isn't the right word, but slightly dumbfounded. Our racetrack is 20 lanes wide. Go out there and find a lane and drive.
Well, here's the payouts for the top 12. $75 for last, obviously, but pays 200, 175, 150, 125, 100. Decent money, plus 200 for the class winner. So even if you only just went out and beat the other three drivers from your class, you're going to make 325. And here's the drivers that have here's who has accepted. Right now, Kyle Wirt Ryan Beagle, Logan Schwedick, and Trevor DeVore will be in the Thunderstocks. Mike Sarantakis, John Lubeck, Tim DeVore, and Wade Thorne for the mini stocks. And crates have been the toughest one. The sprint cars don't want to do, which I thought they would go out and clean up. Stratford is the only one in the top three to confirm. Jesse Casa, Mac DeMann, Steve Murdoch, John Cadman, they have all declined, as has Lance Erskine. So right now we're waiting on Larry Gledhill and Austin Rose, so let me know if they want in. But so far the only sprint cars who have taken up the challenge are Podwinski and Stratford. So I'm a little surprised by that too.
Would it be rude? I think we should get whoever declines from now on to come out and cluck like a chicken the way Clyde Torkel had to in Stroke Race.
Well, hey, we did put it out there. It's a gimmick race for fun in honor of Noah Thomas. We just want to see what it's going to be like. I think they'll get strung out pretty quickly. Just so the format is also for the fans who want to check it out. It'll be at the end of the night. It'll be the last race we do. As part of Memorial Night, we're having a fun race in honor of our fallen friend Noah Thomas. It's going to be a fun gimmick for entertainment purposes at the end of the night. Thunderstocks must complete 7 laps, crates must complete 8, and mini stocks 6. So we'll see how that works out, just for some fun, for some extra cash.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Brian Bassett might have done this out at Mosport Oval or Kawartha Oval 100 years ago. I know Gary Elliott also talked about it when he was president of the hobby club. I think it's neat. I think the fans will get a kick out of it. I think you could do it in a way that you're not putting your car at risk. Nobody's going to be embarrassed. At least you shouldn't be. Just go out there and turn some laps and please the fans. Okay, thank you, Wade.
Well, we will have a full field. I know that because we have drivers clamoring at it. We've been doing it fairly and going down the points list and letting them accept or decline as we get there. But I know we're going to have a full field. We're just politely getting through it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see how that works out. Right? I mean, we've tried races that haven't worked out before. Tried a crate scramble once like they do at the 76er where they just qualify all the cars and then you do a complete draw for the entire field. And I realized that's not safe either. We had originally talked about splitting the field for the Noel Teals, splitting all the cars that show up into 2 races. But then you have a few drivers out there who aren't really up to speed. It gets dangerous at times in the pack. And we felt qualifying a straight 28. It's also a big money race and a big prestigious race. So taking all comers doesn't necessarily make sense. And when the money started to get up there, we were going to end up with a $30,000 purse if we had 2 races. So it's really climbing up there in money, and it's going to be a big prestigious race. So, we call it Twin 15s. It's actually going to be Twin 14, sorry. And at the end of the second 14, we'll pay out the money and the points to try and keep it fair. But there was a lot of discussion on both sides. GP3R, Adam, coming up this weekend.
The reason I had asked about it was that coming.
Now we lost Adam. All right. Let's jump into a couple of articles that we had come up. We always tell you to make sure you enjoy it because it can end. 2 things came out today in the story. Bloomsburg, PA. They're going to lose their track noise ordinance. Do you have anything on that, Spencer? Are you back, Adam?
Yeah, I thought you froze, so I actually kept on talking.
No.
And then I'm like, oh shit, it's me. No, just to go back to the Twin 14s, the reason I had asked was because the hobby club always ran Twin 25s. And it was neat because you wind up with 3 winners. 1 winner wins the first 25, 1 winner wins the second 25, and then someone wins the overall. It's your best combined finish. And I wasn't sure if that's what we were doing or not. So not a matter. It's cool what you're doing.
I just thought you were
we're doing to honor.
Smart. I thought you were going down the Adam Ross smart ass road. So here's the thoughts too, though, Adam. If we split them into even fields, say we had 30, 38 cars show up, we split them in a 19 and 19. The problem is 14 laps isn't really a prestigious race. We wanted to give them more time. Some drivers might not have been happy with only 14 laps coming out. So we figured, qualifying the field, making one giant payout and trying to make it fun. And these teams never get to use strategy to adjust tire pressures, wing angle. There's not a lot of things they can do, but they do have a chance. how much fuel they want to put on. Do they want to run with a light load and run for the top 14? And it's just, we're going to try it out and see how it works. With anything new, it's something new. But we can't thank enough the support. Nathan Ackland, like I said, John Brush, the Teal family. And Gale Hill jumped in tonight, and he threw in a bunch of money at it too. I almost forgot Gale.
Yeah.
So great to see them all coming out. Where do you want to go from
No,
here,
there
Adam?
was-
We have basically 4 topics left. GP3R, tours and specials and what to do. It could end tomorrow, and then NASCAR Sunday the Rights, which we don't even really need to get into if we don't get there.
Yeah, let's hit it in order. Next up is GP3R, which I believe is the premier race on the NASCAR Pinty Series schedule. And it doesn't matter even if there's speculation that the Cup Series is coming to Montreal, hopefully the Pinty Series will be with it. I will still say GP3R is the premier event on the schedule because it's got history. It's kind of like the Southern 500 at Darlington. It's a race so steeped in history and prestige that nothing can rival it. The town shuts down. It's such a special event. They're going to have a huge car count. It looks like more than 30 cars will show up to compete in that event. And it's just, you have to see it to believe it.
Adam, for like a street course, what makes it different than the Indy in Toronto? You know, if you've been to Indy, is it similar? Is it different? Streets wider?
No, it's similar in terms of it's narrow, there's concrete and fence on both sides. It seems a little bit more quaint because it's in the town. Inside, like you've got more than an Olympic-sized swimming pool in one part of the facility. You got a baseball stadium. There's just something about the feel of it that once it gets built, it doesn't feel like a temporary circuit. It feels like a place that is built for this race. And the grandstands, everything about the way things are situated at that event, but mostly the fact that this whole town is about that race on that weekend is the Hippodrome, Richard, which is a horse track, which is where they do the rallycross race. It's just a feel, it's an atmosphere, and it's a buzz, which is hard to explain, Clinton, because you can't buy it with money. In fact, this ties in very well to our next topic. It doesn't come from money. It comes from history and prestige and people wanting to win that race and growing up idolizing the people who won that race.
Yeah, for the dirt fans and dirt modified and sportsman fans around here, you may not know because I don't think Cody McPherson and all these guys know. There is a whole series of races that go on at RPM, Granby. It goes on Drummond and I think Cornwall. I don't know if Drummond was on the list, but it's part of the Canadian Dirt Tour that we cover on TSN. They have qualifiers on the dirt with the sportsman cars and the modifieds, but that qualifies you to race on the pavement, on the street course, in your dirt modified with a 602. So it's basically a dirt sportsman car on the streets, on the road course. It's the coolest thing ever. It does air on TSN. I mean, I think I'd like to see them do a lot more promotion and work with the promoters down here because I think that'd be cool for Don Speece and his racers to be a part of. If he could get 3 or 4 of them to go down.
Mike Bowman, I'm sure, would love Brett Stratford. Like, this is where they cut their teeth. I'd like to know how many hours of live coverage RDS gives that event over the course of the weekend. Like, can you imagine? The only thing that would compare is something like CTMP having 12 hours over the course of a weekend live on TSN. And that's what they do with RDS. Yeah, Ron Fellows did it in 2021 because of his relationship with General Motors. I'm not sure if Ron Fellows had an awful lot of fun. Those cars are a lot different than anything he's done.
But you do get to see the NASCAR Pinty stars, a few of them jump in and have fun with it. So make sure you check that out. That is this weekend. Adam will be with us. We're going to Sauble for the APC series, and what a deal you got going on there. Joe Lawrence leading Jake Sheridan, who wrecked his car last weekend by 1 point coming into it. It's a tight battle. We're going to be there to cover all that. We'll be live at 7 p.m. Eastern this weekend from Sauble Beach. And it's a 150-lap race, so make sure you check that out. We'll be there for all the excitement.
and legend cars and midgets, which I think will be the midgets on that track are awesome. I think the legends will be as well. I think that'll be a real good night. I don't know about a 360 sprint car, Derek, but dirt modifieds have run on road courses. They did it down at Jersey. Remember, you've only got one gear.
Tall gear you need for most part. I can't imagine. They'd all stall in 5A and B. It would just fall on its face for the gear you'd need out there. But
Wade, we're not going to Trois Rivières Sunday. Through the miracle of television, I'll be able to do the TSN broadcast, but we will not be there in person.
let's talk quickly about it could end tomorrow. Chemung Speedway had 2 bad wrecks in their Bandolero. They've decided to pull the plug on their season. And then Bloomsburg, PA, as we were just getting into, they have decided. Do we have any clips or anything from that, Spencer? Not sure what you got there. But show what you've got, if anything. Crazy, Adam, how you're just rolling along. A noise ordinance has stopped the races at Bloomsburg. The town has voted. They've had enough of the noise. And this historic place is now going to be done. You know, so it just goes to show you at any point, if the town don't like it, it's over.
Well, and the world is changing rapidly. People working from home, so the cities have dispersed, and people have bought properties all over the place, which means you've got city folks living in the country near places that make a lot of noise, and they're going to make a lot of noise. I know some of our friends in the racing world like to call them cityots, when the people come out of the city to venture towards the country and the water on weekends. And it is a completely different type of people. Not that city people are bad, they just have expectations. And if they move next to a racetrack, they need to get their heads examined because they should have done better research before they bought a place.
CW got NASCAR rights. We don't really need to get too much into that. We were just asking each other, who is CW? So, are they going the right direction or not? That's the question.
Yeah, so the CW is what a combination between, is it CBS and Warner Brothers, and hopefully we'll be able to see the stuff in Canada. That's all I care. But we should go back to tours and specials, Clinton, because there was a lot of chatter about this on the weekend, and for better or worse.
Yeah, so Flamborough had their gold rush Saturday. It got rained out to Sunday, and, that started the chatter. Only 16 cars, 10,000 to win, 800 to start. Everybody says it's about the money, but it's about more than that, obviously, right?
17 cars showed up. Rick Spencer blew up in practice. And there were posts. And Mike Schmidt has every right to post because he puts a lot of money into it and talks about his disappointment. And there were people who came on to explain why they didn't come. People like Billy Zardo and Graham Annis and a few others. Joe Chisholm made a post. Ultimately, in fact, and then Cam tagged us and said, hey, maybe we'll talk about it on the show. There's nothing to talk about because the only voice a racer has during racing season is yes or no. You either go to an event and participate or you don't. Why you do or why you don't doesn't matter. All that matters is you show up or you don't. Flamborough had 17 cars. The Action Sprint Tour went to Merrittville with how many
twice
cars?
Was 16.
16 cars. So this winter, there's going to be meetings. And promoters are going to get the racers together, and they're going to come up with lists. And I'm going to pick on one division. I'm going to pick on the Pro 4s at Flamborough Speedway. With the exception of ARCA coming up 25 years ago, I haven't seen more than 11 cars on the track at one time. Every winter, we're going to have 16 cars. We got 18 cars. And every year they don't. And I'm not picking just on them because almost every division is like that right now. They're hurting for cars. What people say in the off season doesn't matter. What they do, the choices they make is what matters, Clinton, because you're the one that makes these schedules for some of these series. When you sit down to make your schedule, you're not going to go down a list of names and say, who told me they would be there? You're going to say, how many people went to Humberstone? How many people went to Merrittville? How many people went to Psalms? How many people went to Brighton? How many people went to Cornwall? Okay, these are the tracks that are not getting races. These are the tracks that will get races because they'll get supported. And if anyone comes to complain, that's the moment in time where you have to say, sorry, you can't. Like this, you don't have a voice because we took the body of work, we made business decisions, and we implemented them based on what was going to be the best return on your investment, your sponsor's investment, your marketing partner's investment. So this is one time where, as much as I love to talk is cheap. It doesn't matter.
You're not wrong, Adam. Like, my number for the Knights of Thunder 360 tour and the Action Sprint tour, I told all you guys, Doug, everybody behind the scenes, is 18. If we can't bring 3 heats of 6, I can't go to Don Spieth at Maryville and say, hey, sit down your 22 sportsmen for us for night. Because time-wise and budgetary-wise, they have to give a division the night off. And if your division, I mean, for years, out of Schweeken, we were the other side. Mod Lights would come to me. Paul Klager ran the Mod Lights for years. Said, hey, man, we want to race. I said, Paul, I can't sit down mini stocks, 30 of them, for 14 Mod Lights. It just doesn't work. And now I find myself in that deal. So when it comes around time to go to Pinty's for the $50,000 it takes to run these tours and pay the points ones we're doing and, put them on broadcast, you definitely look back and think, what do you do? None of us are making any money off of it. None of the staff, okay, some of the staff get paid a pittance for their time and gas and hotels, but nobody's getting rich off this. So if the racers don't want to come out and do it, why are we doing it? Why does Caselli put up all that money next year? Now, you know what all the naysayers are going to say? Oh, John's not trying, or Clint doesn't care to try anymore, or they're giving up. No, man, you had your ass handed to you for 20 grand in one day. That doesn't make you happy to go out and make that schedule again next year. Go, well, let's try. Look, I'll tell you where we were on that. Action Expo, the kid event. Great. We were on. We had a lot of money invested, a lot of energy, months of time. It rained out. I never tried that again. The stress, the headache, the loss from the rain, just no, man. I'm not going there again. So, Mark, just to answer your quick question, yes, we are working to get SRX. So, a big job to get them up, but we're trying. Go, Adam.
Yeah, that's a big deal. It ultimately, because some people came in and say, hey, make it a bone stock show. Hey, make it a legend show. You'll get that many cars. You still have to put asses in the grandstands. You have to bring something in that's going to make people want to come and see. You know what would make me want to come and see a race? Clinton, Chris Lawrence talked about it earlier. Putting an all-star cast in his 10 bone stocks. Okay, that might be something you could sell. Yeah. It's got some appeal to it. So it's a complicated thing, and it it gets frustrating sometimes. But I will say this, because people like to throw out their opinion and say, oh, Flamborough's a wreck fest. Flamborough went green to checkered. There was a pass for the lead. No, there was more than one pass for the lead, because JR led for a while, but he didn't start on the front row. It was a good, clean race. It went on a little bit long. It might have been able to use a yellow, but as far as good, hard, clean racing, it had everything that you might want. So, it had the ingredients there. But people like to have something to bitch about. You and I both belong to a Facebook group called the Hard Clay Observer, which is a bunch of people from down Orange County Fair Speedway way in New York, and they are savage. Folks, you think we get into some opinions here, you should see the shit that they spout off on that page. It's wicked. How about the crowd?
We don't need that permeating into our world. But yeah, the crowd at Psalms has always been, I've said it for years, that Southern Ontario Motor Speedway gets a crowd that we would all sell our kids for as promoters. It's packed, no matter what kind of show they're putting on. I hope it takes off for Henry. They've certainly done a good job rebuilding the place. The stands look great. Hope it all works out for them. But, from a tour perspective, you're going to say, well, it's not a point fund. I'm running for points over here. How many times I hear people say you're running for points? What does third in points pay? Most places, $300 anyways. What are you giving up? What do you care to be second in points at a speedway where it has no point fund?
I'm going to
give up $5,000.
I'll play devil's advocate. I'll play devil's advocate here, because I get it. What if you're Joe and Chris Lawrence and you've put on your board at the shop, win the APC series, and they've got limited means, right? You don't have a wide open budget. You don't have a backup car. And I get what you're saying, go race for the money. I was shocked that some drivers didn't sew up just to take the green. Go without a crew. You don't, from what I heard from Gary, it wasn't mandatory to buy tires. They get paid $1,000 to start that race. Go out there, run a few laps at the back, pull off. It cost you a couple $100 in gas to get there. You just made $800. Like it's nutty to me that sometimes people don't do that sort of thing. Because I know they do in dirt racing. You'll see crate cars show up at a 360 race or at a World of Outlaws race and try to sneak into a show. Right or wrong, that's up to the promoter. But if you can do it, you've just got a pretty good return on your investment.
I think what I was getting there too was, okay, so you're saying you're in the points. That's great. But then when someone like me puts together a point fund the next year, and then you don't go support it because we thinking, okay, they're going to come because we got a great point fund of $5,000 to win for 5 races outside of Schweigen, whatever works out to be. And then they don't show up. What shocked me, Adam, is the car count of Cornwall on the Sunday for the East race. 17 cars rebounded after, or about that at Brockville. I thought we'd have, I was panicking on the phone with Raymond. I thought we'd have 8 cars on Sunday, but it worked out. So just when you think, you don't know. The only thing I know is racing goes in ebb and flow. Some years you're on the top of the wave. Sometimes you're getting swamped. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah. And I've got to agree with Mahaguru Barty. Like, that's exactly what I meant to say.
You know what you're agreeing to. You better be careful.
No, it's such a complicated sport. Thank goodness we have people like Mike Schmidt who have a passion for it because his investment does not make financial sense. Clinton, your investment, my investment in time, and in the things that we do doesn't make a lick of sense, but we love it. It's what we do. So we're going to keep on doing it. And some things don't have crystal clear answers. We just ride it out.
Good question. Brian Leach, look it up. ODCC, OntarioDirtComp.com will give you all the rules you need for both mini stock and street stock. Spencer, let's end with the Schweigen commercial because we need some people to get out there. Make sure they join us for the NASCAR week. We have a Speed Week pit ticket, $125 get you pit access and all 5 nights of action Friday through Tuesday if you plan on camping with us. If you're not, check NPS on Dirt for all the information. That's it for us. It's been another great week. Thanks for hanging around.
Good show. We'll see you Friday, and we'll render each other speechless again. It's going to be a big night at our Schweigen Memorial Night. Very, very special night.
The NASCAR Pinty Series returns to the Big O for not 1, but 2 action-packed nights of NASCAR on the dirt. Schweigen Speedway hosts the Freshstone Dirt Classic on Monday, August 14th, and the Pinty's 100 Tuesday, August 15th. Last year, the action was wild. Don't miss out. Get your tickets today. Go to npsondirt.com for tickets and camping info.